Good day, Jay.
Hi, Reed. How are you?
Good to see you. So you got actually a couple days to get on the ice as opposed to the game day, non-game day. What's your approach for today and then tomorrow in terms of getting ready and help be out there?
Yeah, we gave our kind of set the table for what the schedule for the series is going to look like. We gave our players some good meetings, and then today we didn't bring everybody on the ice. But the people that did go on the ice had a good plan and got some stuff done and feeling good heading into tomorrow's practice.
I would think that regardless of how focused you are on the task at hand, that the hype surrounding this series perhaps would be unavoidable to at least some extent. I'm wondering, you're watching the game last night, maybe hearing from friends and family, oh my God, it's a BOA. What kind of did you get?
Yeah, I think the entire province is excited about it. I think obviously there's a rivalry between the two cities that goes back multiple years, and not just in the sport of hockey. So everyone's excited about that. For us, what I see is two good hockey teams that are going to get the opportunity to compete to head to the third round of the playoffs. And while everybody's excited, we're getting down to work and trying to prepare for a really good hockey team.
Hey, Jay, just some housekeeping stuff. How's Leon Draisaitl doing? I know you're probably not going to tell us, but I got to ask the question.
No, I can tell you. He's very good.
Is he? And just I guess, a thought on, do you take anything from the regular season meeting going into the playoffs here? Does that film help you at all, or is this totally different area preparing for the Flames?
Well, I think the experience helps you. For me, as I said, I think it's two really good hockey teams that, obviously they finished at the top of our division for a reason. We're excited for the challenge that they represent.
Jay, you've talked a lot about the importance of rest throughout the year and stuff, and so the emotions run obviously a lot higher right now. As a coach, do you have to ensure that you take time away and aren't constantly on video and film? How do you balance that to ensure that you don't get too into it and then maybe you're not as mentally sharp as you'd want on game day?
For myself, I think it's important as the head coach of the hockey team, you have to see things clearly. And in order to see things clearly, you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself and regenerating and whatnot. For me, where I regenerate the best is with my family. Having them, they're still not here yet because they're got to finish their school year in Bakersfield, but they'll be up in the next little while here. But that's the wonders of technology, is that you're able to FaceTime or Skype or Zoom call. But for me personally, I have to get away from the rink at times to ensure that you're seeing things clearly when you're at the rink.
When you look at the results in the first round, it seemed clear that when you did, or your team executed the way you wanted, you really controlled the series for long stretches. Easier said than done, of course, and as you go deeper, it's probably harder. But when you look at Calgary, they obviously offer different matchups. Derek Ryan said you're probably the better guy to talk to about how Calgary's got a much bigger defense core than LA and more experienced. Do you keep that in mind when we can attack this way better, and so do you change the game plan that significantly based on the strengths and weaknesses of your opposition?
Yeah, you do. You do that in the regular season as well. Different teams present different challenges, and Calgary is a completely different animal than LA was. So you have different focal points or areas that you might want to simplify or expose. And they're doing the same thing. And you asked about last series, and certain times we look this way. The other team gets a say too, and they're in this position for a reason. Everyone that made the playoffs is a good hockey team. I said at that point that the league got better. The league narrowed from 32 to 16. Well, it just got even better today because the league narrowed last night from 16 to 8. And the margins are razor thin. I think a lot of the time as you get deeper and deeper in the playoffs, team games and team strategies are fairly similar. It's about who does things harder and who does things longer than their opponent. And, as I started out that answer, I'd say that Calgary is going to provide us with a real big challenge, but we're excited for it.
When you're watching Calgary play in Dallas, as a coach, does it come down to logistics in terms of which team you want to win the game? Flying to Dallas is a heck of a lot tougher than getting in a...
No, I don't think so. I think they're both good teams. Dallas didn't come out on top, but they played their heart out. They lost in overtime in Game 7. Both of them were in that position for a reason. Both of them presented different issues. But for me, the way it worked out was that Calgary won, and that's where we've focused and directed our attention.
And the last game in there was the high-scoring 9-5 game. Do you take something from that? Or do you just say that was just one of those games where both teams had lots of offense and they had a little more offense than we did?
Yeah, I think you take something from every game. And, I think that was an important point in our year in that, we really dialed it in with how we needed to play to have success after that game. And so you learn in the regular season, just like you do in the playoffs, and you take those lessons with you and try and make yourselves a better team because of it.
One last question. Last series, you had Danault and Kopitar to check your centers. Does it change much with Calgary? You're used to seeing Backlund on Connor as a coach. Do you just game plan for that, saying we're going to have one guy on Connor and let's hope Connor outplays him?
I think you study how other coaching staffs try and utilize the people at their disposal, and then you have your own plan as well, and that's part of doing your work, seeing it clearly.
So when you say Leon feels very good,
did I use very in front of it?
did he say?
I can't.
Very.
Did I say very?
I think you said very good, which is better than pretty good, and it leads the idea that he'll be ready for Game 1. So what are we putting in the emails here, Jay?
I still can't control your emails, and I don't think I'd want to see your emails.
Connor McDavid's evolution with the D. Mike Smith was talking about how this year, his level of being vocal has maybe adjusted a little bit. So from when you first saw him take on that role to what he displayed in that series, where's the main difference or growth?
Yeah, well, I've seen him since his first day in the organization, and he's come a long way, as most people do from the age of 18 to where he's at now. And so he is not only physically matured, but he's emotionally and intellectually matured as well. He's somebody who is not afraid to speak up and let his teammates know what he expects. I think he's a great teammate. I think the best teammates are the ones that it's not always from the throat, but it's from the heart, and people that lead by example. So he backs up those words, and they carry a lot of weight. I think his play has been very inspired. It's inspired play. It's inspiring his teammates. He's somebody who he's driving us forward, and I keep using the term he's driven to win. He's driven to win, but he's a great teammate and a great leader.
Jay, just back here. I'll preface this question by saying I'm coming at this from a sports science perspective.
Okay.
I wonder about the players that were kept off the ice today. Was that a coaching decision, or was that their decision in terms of rest and recovery?
Sports science. Yeah, it's all that. I was just teasing you, DMB, but. You take all of that into consideration, and you're just trying to make the best decisions possible for your group so that you feel rested and regenerated and you're at your best in game one.
You've said many times that you feel bullish about this group and about the players here. What did you see in the first round that probably continues to your thought process along those lines?
Well, I think I saw a huge will to continue to work for each other and play for each other in difficult moments, like after we lost the overtime game in Game 5 and had to go down and win in a tough building. And I see people that are sacrificing to get wins. I see a group of people that are dialed in on details, and their will to play on and try and achieve their dream it's obvious to me. And I think I said this after the game in game number 7 was that Los Angeles played a very good series in that round 1, and they forced us to do some things that aren't easy. And because of that, we grew as a team. And, and that's something that we've also said from day one. It wasn't just that we're bullish, is that we're striving to get a little bit better each day. And the bottom line is our goal heading into today was that, and our understanding is that we got to be better than we were in round 1. The league has narrowed. The league has gotten better.
Jay, you talked earlier how you can't just funnel everyone to the net. There's too many bodies sometimes too, but it's got to be smarter. But at the same time, when you watch over the film, would you like to see a little bit more traffic in front at times for your team? And if so, do you game plan for that, or is that just the willingness of guys to do it at certain times?
Well, I think, and I don't know this, you'd have to look this up, but I think we're one of the highest scoring teams in round 1. So we were doing some good stuff in order to achieve those types of numbers. I think naturally it is difficult to score in the playoffs. You want to be cognizant about making sure that good goaltenders don't have good sight lines. So, getting through the goaltender's eyes is important. But, I don't think you want to be in a situation where you bring too many people to the net, because it makes it hard for not only the shot from the point to get through the first layer, but also the second layer of body. So, we have an offensive plan, ways we want to look in the offensive zone as different situations present themselves. But, our goal output in series number 1 versus a pretty stingy Los Angeles Kings team was at an acceptable number for us.
And can you talk about just maybe the importance of the physical presence of an Archibald and a Cassian and the emotional lift that can bring at certain times? And I know that there's lots of different stats you can look at if people want to look at analytics, but Can you just talk from the emotional standpoint of that and how that does wear down? And I specifically, like Archibald really hammered Dursey in an early hit and, stood him up, and he was on the bench, and how that can actually have an impact in the game. How much do you see that, and how important is it for your team to have some guys who are consistently that physical? Yeah,
I think it's very important, especially when you see the same team night after night after night. It's almost like an investment. We use that word last series, but those moments where you can invest physically, I think they add up over the life of a series. Both of the players that you mentioned were able to invest for their teammates. They got in some very good and fair body checks. And part of understanding what they bring to our unit, our team, is an understanding of the things that aren't always measurable. And, they're important members of our team, and they had a really good first round.
Jay, you've talked about how the league has narrowed and gotten better. That requires a better baseline. Mm-hmm. Where do you feel like your team has improved that baseline over the course of the last 7 games heading into round 2?
Yeah, I think we took steps. Just the way the Los Angeles Kings played and their adherence to their structure forced us to do some things, forced us to solve problems, to get out of our comfort zone. For us, I don't think anything great ever comes out of comfort zones. So it was nice to get pushed and forced to come up with different types of solutions to things. I think the Los Angeles Kings have some similarities to the Calgary Flames. So some of the things we saw in round one will help prepare us for round number 2 as well.
A lot of firepower, 4 of the top 8 scorers from the regular season, including the top 2 scorers. Can you talk about McDavid and Gaudreau's ability to come through for their clubs in Game 7 and how that brought the best out of them?
Yeah, well, I can talk about our guy. I've actually coached both of those players at the World Cup of Hockey, and obviously Connor in this organization. But for both of those players, they're high-end skill players. But for Game 7, I thought, Connor displayed his will to win. Everyone goes to some of the highlights offensively, but I saw a player really committed to the defensive side of things. Somebody who's prepared to pay a price physically and to do little things that don't necessarily show up on the final game sheet, but they're key to win. And in order to win at this time of year, I think you need those efforts. As I said, the league is narrowed. It's not a first effort league right now. It's a second and third effort league. And the most important thing is the find a way league right now. You got to find a way to continue to improve. You got to find a way to solve issues that other teams present you. And we're lucky because our leader led the way.